Welcome to episode 25 of the Creative Train podcast. I have a guest with me in the studio today, and that guest is Timber Masterson. Timber, or Tim, is a singer-songwriter, an actor, a writer, a columnist, an author, and a doggy daddy. And today we're going to talk with Tim about how to maintain balance and focus and motivation when you're active in so many creative disciplines, as well as taking care of doggies, because who doesn't love doggies? Maybe we'll even get Tim to play us a song or two. Sit back, hang on, enjoy the conversation. All aboard? And as promised, here we are.
Here I am.
Tim Masterson. How's it going, Tim?
I'm very excited to be there. I've been listening to Conan O'Brien's podcast, and at the very beginning they say it's Conan O'Brien needs a friend, and I think of today like Mark Novoselic needs a friend, and I want to be that friend. It's like, how do you feel to be Mark Novoselic's friend? I see enthused, engaged, energetic, really? Appreciative,
cool,
grateful.
Well, we just did nigh on 2 hours of recording on one of your songs here. I'm
thankful and grateful to know you. You're so great at just plugging yourself in and hearing something and being drawn into it, and you just know how to play it, like what's right for the song, which is a big part of the creative process. Certainly when we're doing this, is finding out what works for the song, what instrumentation, what lyrics, like how the chorus should go, just so many choices and options. That's what keeps me... Now I'm rambling. You haven't even asked me the question.
No, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But it's so interesting. There's so many choices, so many options. Like, I mean, anyone who's making albums these days, they talk about, oh, I'm in my bedroom and I don't need a big record company. I've got like an 8-track little thing, but you can do anything. It's like creating a palette, like a CD cover. Like, you can do anything, fonts, sizes, colors, and the same thing you get in the studio. And wow, I'm just overwhelmed at just the canvas is so wide open and clear that, I would think people would want to know, like, how do you even, start? How do you even go about? And I can say it's like an inkling. There's a spark. There's like something you want to convey to other people where you sincerely think, hey, this is going to really, what's the word? Engage with them. There's something I want to share is going to resonate. That's the word, resonate. Is someone's going to hear it and go, oh, okay, I get that. Mm-hmm. And as an artist, that's always exciting to make that connection, cross that bridge to the other side, where whether it's something I've written, a piece of music I'm playing on the piano or guitar, or acting in a role, the other part of the artist is the reciprocal part, where someone is receiving your art. And that's what's exciting, to hear someone go, hey, I saw that thing you did, or I heard that thing you did, and it's like, oh yeah, I really, got me thinking ... And that's the exciting thing, because what's the point of creating art if it's just going to be you in your bedroom and not share it with anyone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of people grapple with that, especially when you have the width and the breadth of social media. We're becoming such small drops in an ever-growing bucket that, at sometimes, it's easy to become a little bit fatalistic and say, I released this song, I poured my heart out into it, or it took me a year to write this song and I've only got like 3 plays on my YouTube or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, at some point you do have to create art for yourself, but that's the beauty of sharing it, is that as humans, we all live somewhat the same experience.
Well, that brings up, creating art certainly should be for yourself, number one. But number two, you want people to engage and somehow, like it. I want response. I've always wanted that. Maybe it's the insecurity of an artist, like, see me, feed me, please. I hope it's good. Do you like it? And which sounds so pathetic and stuff. But it's like, you do want others to do it. But ultimately, you are I am doing it for myself. I like to sit there and, those chords sound nice together. I'm really pleased. And if someone doesn't like it, or if I don't get enough hits on some sort of platform, or enough likes, or enough responses, or I'm not on playlists, then ultimately at the end of the day, I can't be sad, or I tell myself, it's not such a big deal, so what if I don't get this response? Like, ultimately it'd be nice to get a response, and you like validation and acceptance.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I had on my YouTube thing, I do a few different channels or playlists.
This is about me, Mark. Let's not go back to you. Okay.
No, I'm just talking about validation,
yes.
Right? There was a video that I made. It's a little 10-minute video on how to repair, actually, the little cradle that's holding that microphone right there. It was busted for 4 years.
And someone will appreciate it. Maybe they're in Nevada at 3 a.m. It's like, who's this guy? I have a microphone like that. That's cool.
That's exactly what happened last week. A guy, I think he's a rapper in South Carolina. And he took the time to comment on it. And I was like...
And that made you feel good, right?
It did.
Isn't that cool?
It did. I was able to help somebody out.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Someone heard you. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with this podcast. I was asking you earlier, like, how do you actually get it to the people? It's one thing, you create it, you enjoy it, you have people in, there's an interaction, great. Okay, now what? Just like a musician. So how do you get it to Spotify, Apple? Like, what's the next step? So I'm always interested, like, I have something I want to share. So how do you, and that's an art in itself. Some people are great at it, the tech aspect of sitting there, and they really enjoy creating a website and, emailing your list of people. And, I'm unfortunately, that's not my wheelhouse, as the kids say. It's not my lane. Yeah. So I'm really having to learn. It's a real learning curve. It's not fun. It does not excite me. So I'm having to reach out for some assistance for that, and have a couple friends who, can sort of talk to me like I'm 3 years old, because it's like, Tim,
explain it to me like I'm a child.
Just talk to me like I'm 3, right. And just hold my hand through this process.
But that's a good thing. I mean, when you're not, that's like, you could take somebody who's a brilliant figure skater and put them in the kitchen, and they might not know a damn thing about how to put a meal together. So that person who's already accomplished so much and so many things. We all have our strengths and talents,
exactly. And so that's not my area. So I'm not going to beat myself up or feel insecure or bad. Like, no. So what? That's just not I don't gravitate towards that. It's not enjoyment, not where but it is a necessary evil, though. And I wish I was better at it. I wish I sort of lent whatever my creative mind was, I wish it sort of could jump to that place where, but just even now, like, I'm working on an actual CD. I don't know if anyone actually listens to them anymore. They'll probably end up underneath my bed, and I just give them to uncles and aunts that I never see. So
you must have a big family.
Yeah. So in that, I'm just designing this artwork for the CD, and it means sitting there and it's like, okay, they have a template, and like, how do I fit my picture there? And then you're choosing fonts to like go on the front of this, and then there's the back of the CD, and then there's the sizing, and just sitting there, it's just so laborious or laborious. Yeah, it's like icky. Like I enjoy the actual, like, oh, my picture will go great there, and I like the way the fonts are for the song names. But as far as really just sitting there in front of a computer and making it all aligned and proper, like, I don't know.
That's where templates come in handy.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you're doing a good job with this you're doing a website. And
it's the creative person's brain, those people that live predominantly on the right side of the brain, we do have superpowers to a degree that could be applied to those, what we would call monotonous or brain numbing things, because I think a lot of the time those things just become so much habit for somebody. It's like, how do I, cut paper or something like that? And then there's a way to cut paper, but you don't always want to cut it the same way, and it would take somebody with a different kind of imagination.
Maybe it's also an attitude and approach. Like, I was to approach it like, I can do this, people do it all the time, so just get to it, Tim. So it's a way of inner dialogue, like speaking to myself. And if I have a sort of negative attitude and outlook, like, I'm crappy at this, I don't know how to do this, it's going to take too long, I need someone to, and if I live in that space, it's not so hot. Like, even speaking about it now, it's like, that's not going to...
No, great, and it's in all honesty, like, the procrastination thing is a horrible thing to succumb to, because case in point, we were just looking at the website template, right? I've been on that site poking around since October, and this is now the end of February 2025.
Like where did all those hours go?
So
What's the
I've been poking
procrastination?
around on there, getting fuck all done. And then last weekend, which in Canada was a long weekend, family day, the Monday after the Sunday was a holiday, I spent 6 hours on Monday or Sunday and about 4 hours on Monday.
Was it just you were ready mentally to approach it? Was it just the day, the way the sun and the moon hit the, like, what was it about that day where you said, fuck it, I'm just going to go
I was talking with my daughter about it, and I said part of it was the guilt.
And the embarrassment and the sadness.
Yes, I was embarrassed for me.
You didn't want to have to tell another friend, like they said, how's your thing going?
It's
you
coming.
Didn't want to have to say,
it's coming.
It's like a writer with a blank page. It's like chapter 1, and they go up to the attic every day with coffee, and the wife says, how's that novel? Oh, yeah, it's doing really well.
Yeah, there was a Family Guy episode with that. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Brian, or Stewie says to Brian's like, hey, Brian, how's that book coming? Or something like that. And his voice just keeps going up and up and up and register,
right.
getting the more inquisitive tone to it.
Yeah.
So
how's that book coming along? How you been doing pretty well there? Just like, I see. That's great.
Yeah, so it's just getting off the
proverbial couch.
Yeah.
Right.
Actual couch.
Well, again, it's self-talk. Just saying, you know what? I'm going to do this today. I don't care. This might be sort of tough. I may have to ask for help, but I'm going to get it done. And so sometimes it just takes a while to get to that place of like putting everything aside and like, I need to focus on this. For me, I've got like a bit of the ADHD thing going on. So for me, actually like just focusing on that aside from like the scatterbrain, like shiny, sparkly thing, like it's really tough for me to just grapple with one thing, do it to completion and finish it. To me, that's like baffling. So, because I'm kind of scattered, I do a bit of this, bit of that, and I get bored easily, which does not lend itself to actual completing projects. So I find myself kind of a bit of this, a bit of that, and that's for me always, it's an ongoing, difficulty and challenge for sure.
So when you were saying earlier about having inklings across various disciplines, so you write columns for magazines. Is that
yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to the last couple assignments I've gotten. One is for this magazine called Cabin, where it's basically a lifestyle magazine. What's great in cottage country and everything. I pitched them an idea to do something on the Canoe Museum in Peterborough, and there's a real lack of actual magazines anymore. There used to be a lot more like freebies, glossy magazines you could get in like bookstores, and these days it's so much of it's just turned online. So being an egotist, I love to see my name in print, like go to some magazine store and get the magazine. It's like, oh cool, like I wrote that and stuff. So yeah, I've had to reach out. I'm basically a freelancer, and always like bothering editors saying, hey, I'm going to Italy and I have a friend who has a villa there, maybe I could do a story on him. So it means pitching, and my life, welcome to my world, is like 99% rejection, like so much. But unless no one's going to do the work for me. No one's going to. So
you don't work with an agent for your writing?
No, not at all.
Do you work with an agent in your acting?
Yes, I do have an agent because I'm a union member and have been for quite some time. So I have I'm lucky to have anyone who will talk to me, like an agent who represents me. So occasionally I'll audition for series, shows, TV, or commercials for products I would never use myself. And usually I never get them, but it's an opportunity. And I look at that, it's like, okay, so I'm going to go to my friend Jennifer's house, and she's got a little studio, and she's going to put me in front of the camera, and she's going to work with me on the scene. And the difference between when I go in there the first time and an hour later is like staggering. It's monumental. It's like, oh wow, because she gets it out of me, the character and the role. Whereas if I just did it myself with like a little camera propped up on the table, it would look like shit. And so to be competitive with other actors in the city who have good agents, like it's like, here's the thing, it's like you've got 60 agencies in the city. If there's a role that comes up, maybe they all submit one or two people, that's 100 and something. And then the casting person chooses maybe 20 people to read. And it's for one role. It's not like, oh, they're choosing 6 or 7. You've got to be the one person.
Wow.
It's tough. And growing up, it's like hard not to be insecure because they are saying no to every part we don't like your voice. We don't like the way you look. We don't want you to be here. Go away. So I don't know how you can take that as anything else than like, I'm not wanted. I'm not good. And so it took a long time to actually get to the point of, you know what, I'm just not right for that. It doesn't mean this. It's just like, you know, and move on to the next thing and enjoy the process. And that's an interesting thing to talk to, is about actually enjoying this whole process. If we do it for validation or audience respect or reciprocating from people and we don't get the response I want, then it's disappointment and it's frustrating. So ultimately I have to enjoy the voyage. And so much of the time I have this talking to myself like, Tim, like, it's great. It's an opportunity and who knows what'll happen, and it's possibility and it represents that. So that's all great. So if I can live in that place, that's wonderful, as opposed to feeling disappointed and upset that, oh, I didn't get the role. Like, you know, it's just on to the next thing. And it took a long time to get to that space where I didn't feel like crappy because I didn't get the role, or I didn't get the assignment to write the story, or I didn't get picked up by this playlist, or so. Ultimately it's just enjoying the voyage. And there's been times in my life where it's just, I've really felt lackadaisical and down on myself, and it's like, shit, this isn't happening, and I'm not getting this and this, and I just live in that space of like the things I'm not getting, which is not a great place to be. So I'd like to think that I've transcended from that and really just enjoying whatever time. Like today was great and enjoyable, and who knows if it'll become anything, but it's great being here.
It's a process, and it's creative and it's fun.
End of story. That's so nothing else comes. Like that may be the case, and then you're on to the next thing. And the main thing is that I'm being musical today. I'm interacting. I'm being literary today. I'm reading. I'm underlining things in books. I'm engaged in the process of learning more of my art, and that's great. And sometimes that may be it. That at the end of the day, so what?
Yeah, and in a way that's interesting. It ties back into the sort of artist versus the technician thing that you mentioned earlier. Is that, you know, as an artist to look at something as like a spreadsheet or something.
Right.
I mean, I look at Excel, and it's like, my wife is a whiz with Excel. She can do anything. Doesn't it just
baffle you? You look at her, it's like, how do you even do that?
Yeah,
like
I look at it and my stomach starts to hurt.
But she couldn't do what you do. That's the interesting thing. Like, she has talents and gifts where you're like, well, I don't know about that. And she probably looks at you like, wow, I couldn't do some of the things.
Right. And it's like, you know, there has to be part of us that is willing to accept the challenge of a new tool.
Our limitations.
But the challenge of a new tool.
Right.
And getting into it, because we were talking about setting your home recording gear up. Right? And it's like, once you do it, like, again, you know, I go back to my own situation in this very room here, right on the corner of that table, like 3 feet of the end of that table used to be my workspace.
Amazing what you can do.
And this was a shared space.
Right.
And now it's not. But I was terrified to start to move into computer-based recording.
Because it was new to you.
Because I don't like computers. Right? If I can't do it on my phone, chances are I'm going to put it off.
But you have. You've made the challenge, and here you are. Like.
And what did it was the pandemic.
When I couldn't.
I was forced to learn how to do video conferencing.
The whole Zoom thing, like you didn't know really like how that was all going to work out.
I'd never used it before. One time I used a video chat or video conferencing thing, an older format called Live Ninja. Where people,
did you have to dress up as a ninja to use it?
No.
That's good. Because that image of you in, you know, loincloth, that's not...
No, I don't work so well in those kind of things.
No, that's unfortunate.
But I had, you know, it was all right for me to figure out the audio, but I had a crappy webcam, so I had to figure out how to use, if I could use my iPhone.
It was out of necessity, right?
And you
told yourself, I'm going to do this, and you did.
Well, I told myself I have to do it. I don't have an option. If I want an income during the pandemic, I have to be able to teach online. So I had to totally get out of the right brain, out of the songwriter, out of the glass person, out of the creative person in the kitchen, and I had to concentrate on technology. And there's a part of me that can do it, and there's a part of me that can't do it. But I thought, for this little, you know, this week here, I have 1 week to pull it together. You know, and it's like, it was interesting because if you talk about the creative person applying themselves to something that doesn't seem like a problem that requires a creative solution, more of a technical solution.
But there is creativity in the technical. You start to learn, right?
You start to learn how to use it differently. And you'll use it differently than somebody...
You can take the talents and skills you have and apply it to that, whereas you didn't think... you thought it was apples and oranges, but really they kind of bleed together maybe in ways you didn't know.
Yeah, it's how you use the technology. And that's the wonderful thing. Like you see I can't remember his name now. Oh, Tame Impala. I believe he's from Australia. And talking about like these revolutionary recording things that he's used on
programs?
Well, people thought it was revolutionary, but it was cassette tape based. And he just figured out really cool ways to use it. And people were like, where can I find that plugin?
That's another thing. It was reimagining old ways, right? Taking analog or like reel to reel or things you think are extinct and would never see the light of day, actually repurposing them, which is bizarre, and thinking like, that would never work. But oddly enough, it actually, you can take that knowledge and the aesthetics of the historical things that you worked with and bring them into the modern world.
Right. They make TV shows about that with recycling or upcycling, I guess they call it.
Upcycling, that's what the kids call it.
Yeah, but we would just do it with guitars or something weird. Speaking of guitars, do you want to play us a song?
Sure.
What do you think you want to do? Any song in particular come to mind?
No. What about partially the one we were just working on?
Okay, you got your guitar there because you're in a weird tuning.
Yeah, I have a weird tuning.
Where did you get the idea of the weird tuning from?
Did you not share that with me? A buddy of mine, Warren, he does that sometimes. He's a multi-instrumentalist. And then I guess it was Joni Mitchell who does dad-gad tuning as opposed to just standard normal tuning. So I'm limited because I'm basically a piano player. So when I go to the guitar, I feel that's pretty limiting for me. I only my hands can only put themselves in certain formations. So
6 strings and 4 fingers.
Yeah, it's like, imagine if I lost a thumb like in an accident, that would be crazy. I don't know how that would work, but thank God I stay away from industrial arts.
Well, we'll get you out of that hitchhiking habit, that's for sure.
Oh, yes, the hitchhiking. That's why I'm not a good hitchhiker, is because I pretend that I have no thumb, and that's what... But I could play you a little bit of this. I don't even know if I have the whole...
Do you want your lyric sheet?
My lyric sheet? Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. This is exciting, the podcast. Anyone could be listening to this all across the world, and who knows...
This might be your big break?
Possibly. I think I had my big break and I was sleeping that day. That's possibly what happened. But here's another opportunity, or here's another example of, we're enjoying this today. We don't know who's going to, engage with this or hear it or do anything with it, whatever. But we're enjoying the process of doing this.
And that when I had Cassie Noble on, she agreed to play a song, and she played a unreleased song. So you're playing an unreleased and not even finished recording song. This is the song we were working on earlier. So give it an introduction and take it away.
This is for my girl Kelly, as most of my songs are, because she's my muse, and I feel everyone needs a muse. And if she wasn't around, she's the music in me. And just thinking about her and my world and in my life inspires me and gives me energy. And warms my creative cockles. And cockles isn't a bad word. I don't even know what it means, but she warms them, whatever they are. So I'll play a bit of this. Each memory we make is a treasure I keep. And without you here beside me, I'm a wound that's been cut too deep. And on the days when I'm away, I'm like a house without a roof. So let your spirit surround us until we're Without you, I'm just the sound of one hand clapping. I don't know what that would sound like. I love those mornings we wake up and we just start chatting. I treasure the ways you make me burst into laughter. I feel so grateful to know you. That's what I think in the warm glow right after. Yeah. I wanna be more to you than just be some neighbor. And there's thousands of them to choose from, but baby, you're my favorite flavor. And on the days when we're apart, I get to feeling so incomplete. We're a complex puzzle, and sometimes we end up missing each other's heartbeats. You're the music in me that never ceases. Through you I found out just what peace is. Just what peace is.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. That's awesome.
Thanks for sharing.
So yeah, you guys just got to hear something brand new that no one in the world has heard yet.
Yeah, it's uncopywritten, so don't steal it and make $1 million.
It's copyrighted now.
It is it?
Yeah, we have a date stamp on this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can even go back and get the AI bots after somebody if they steal.
They scare me. Anything AI scares me. See, that's the thing. Like, because I don't know a lot about it, I have fear about it. So why not take it like, okay, here's an amazing tool that if I just did some homework and some research, perhaps I could use something like this to the best. That would be great. But if I just approach it like, oh, I don't know about that. That's scary people and robots that are like, it's futuristic. I don't do that. Then I'm never going to do anything. So again, it's just like how I approach it, how I talk to myself, the attitude I have. And I should really listen to this because it's like, that's a good way to be.
Yeah. So listening in the lyrics here, you mentioned something about you're my favorite flavor. And knowing some of your other songs as well, you mentioned
she's always a milkshake, or there's something
so there's tasty, very like the
senses. It's like either it's her tastiness or the smell. All the senses.
It's all
are
sensual.
Heightened. Yeah, there's a definite heightened sensuality about, and the nuance and all the subtleties, and she awakens my senses. I think that's fair to say. So it's kind of funny. Sometimes I'll talk about you're my sexy petting zoo, or you're the milkshake in me, or sometimes I'll use these little terminologies.
There was another one about chocolate. I can't remember what the line was.
Yeah. I think that wasn't allowed to be played on the radio.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? They nabbed you for that?
Too chocolatey. They nabbed me for that. Yeah.
There's too many chocolate
Too many
references.
flavors. Yeah, too many chocolates.
It's not very
too sweet.
Not very inclusive.
Not very inclusive, yeah. Not the LGBT community didn't understand the chocolate.
Because there's no C in there.
There's no C in there?
You got to put a C in there.
I think it should be LGBTQTM, my name. I just want to be part of
You just want to be part of the movement.
Yeah, I just want to be part of any movement. Not necessarily that. I just want to be included.
So when you get into these... the writing of the cross sensualities, and you're putting it into one format of music. So you're taking taste and touch, and you're not just writing about, oh, you're so pretty or whatever. I love my dog and look at the sun. It's really nice. Mm-hmm. Do you find that when you do even something like writing for articles or whatever, do you ever want to include that in there, but you have to restrain yourself because you know that's not
Sure.
the audience?
I mean, I write best like participatory journalism, which is like me going somewhere and experiencing it and writing about it. So I do find some way to get me in there, which sounds pretty much narcissistic and solipsistic, which I kind of am. Maybe it's an artist temperament, but yeah. What was my question? What was your question?
Do you ever have to restrain yourself?
Yeah. So I do have to, if I'm writing about I had to write about just someone's store. And to me, that's like death. Like, how am I going to do that? So I found a way to be like, well, my girl Kelly and I were walking down the street and this amazing sort of thing spoke to us. And then we ventured into it and this happened. And then I met this. So I find it easier to, involve myself somehow and talk about what I saw and what I did. And again, whether that's a narcissistic temperament, I don't know, but it's certainly more fun. I feel like I have more to offer too, and it is more fun from my perspective. And this is what happened. This is what I saw. And, I like to think that I have a heightened sensitivity to like just awareness about things and just, what do you call it? Just,
perception.
Yeah, just a perception, or I'd like to think I'm like evolved and enlightened, which is probably, I'm totally the opposite of that. But having, I don't know what the word is, a heightened, just attention, like just detail. Like
artists see the world differently.
They do.
And we hear the world differently.
Yeah, they pick up on things. Like you might, someone walks in a room, it's like all the things like how are they wearing their watch? How are they moving? What's their gait? How is their haircut? Are they letting it down? Are they 5 o'clock shadow? Is they really clean? Like what's their shoe wear like? That's very like all that stuff is interesting to me. Maybe sometimes I've become too critical or judgmental because I'll pick out the qualities of someone or something that is. I remember showing one of my articles I wrote to my uncle. He says, "Tim, you never seem to talk positively or helpfully about someone because it's always fun to pick out like the absurdity and how ridiculous someone is, so I can get nailed for like poking fun at someone as opposed to like talking about how charming or how great their qualities are."
Well, that's kind of fun though. I mean, it's totally fun. It's almost like
because we're all so ridiculous, and I like to poke fun at me. I'm very self-deprecating. I think others should have just as much
fun poking
at me. Sure,
well,
that's what ends up happening. But poking fun at themselves. I don't get along with anyone who takes themselves too seriously because life's just ridiculous. Like I'm 57. I don't know how many more years I have left, and then that'll be it for me. And some other, artist will be following in my steps. Like who knows how much time it's all so ridiculous. So I think Bertrand Russell said, the definition of insanity is when you start to take your work as so important, and it's just not. Like it's just not. It might feel like that at the time, like, oh, I'm going to get this out to the world, and it's going to change this, and it'll be this for me, and it's just stop it, because it's just you do have to enjoy the journey, the voyage, because that's what it's about. It's not about attaining some goal in the future some way. It's like it's right now is what is going on, and that's what I do with my girl too. We're not going to go to Italy in a few years from now. It's like, let's start booking the trip. Let's do it now. We're going to move to Prince Edward County. Let's find a house. We're going to friggin' do it. We love it there. That's where we see the next chapter. So I like to think, I do congratulate myself in the sense that I think it's all about the momentum of now and being awake and aware enough to wake up daily. It's like, let's make the most out of this day. I want my body and mind to be used up when I'm on my deathbed. It's like, I did what I needed to do here, and I don't feel any remorse. Like, we should have gotten to this, hon. We should, it's a good way to live.
Yeah. It's being able to not let that make you feel like you're being selfish for doing it. Like sometimes if I have something that needs to be done creatively or whatever, my wife has no problem with me doing it. And I have no problem with her doing what she needs to do.
Well, that's healthy.
And we pick up each other's slack where the slack needs to be taken up.
That's wonderful.
And it's not like we have delegated, like you do this and I do that.
Just whatever works for you.
Whatever works.
Like, and you're not keeping score. It's like, oh, I did a lot of that.
No.
That doesn't even come up, right?
No.
And you guys have found something that works for you. And
I'll carry in the firewood, Because it's a pain in the ass and it's heavy and whatever. And
you look better in flannel and big boots and an axe over your shoulder than she would.
Well, it's funny because I just had that all on this morning before you came over.
I sensed it. I was spying on you.
Were you really?
Yeah, I was in the tree with like magnifying glass and a, what do you call them?
I thought we talked about that.
We probably did. Probably.
So one of the things I like to ask my artist friends when they're on is, did you have a plan B? Like, what would you think you would be doing if you weren't the author, the songwriter, the singer, the performer, the actor, the writer? What else would you...
No plan B. No, not at all. Like, there wasn't like this safety net of like, that same thing why I'm ridiculous and terrible and absurd with like finances. I live very much like I could not be here tomorrow. So I haven't planned ahead with like savings or 401k. To me, 401 is like the highway 401 near Toronto. Like, I have no idea what K is and 401. So it's just, there's no plan B. I'm only good at the things that I work on now. It would be a life of being a joker, a pretender, to like think that I could do anything else. Like, I know what my talents are, my skills, and what I am, and I know what I can't do. So, that's an interesting question. I don't know, maybe a lot of people do have, like, if this falls out, like, what'll I do if this happens? And I don't know, that's a lot of energy and time, I think, to waste, It's like you find what moves you and what you're passionate about and just do it. I mean, that's oversimplifying it maybe, but that's what I strive for. Yeah,
because and this goes back to one of the first things that we talked about today was when you get that inkling, it's having the motivation to just jump in and do it. And
it's one thing to think about it, but to actually take an action and move forward and do the momentum.
And when you get so, like, if you have whatever career it is that somebody has that they're very successful at, they start to identify as that. And for them to get into something, say, creative, and again, this is part of the Creative Train's mandate, is to give people confidence and motivation to do those things, to know that just regular folks that they'd meet on the street, like you and I, or Roger Guetta that was on, or Cassie Noble, we're doing the thing, right? And it's like to get people to realize that you don't have to...
creativity is in anything. Making your cereal in the morning, providing like your meal for your loved one, like how you're going to do it. Like, you don't have to be some great artist. So like, check mark, I'm an artist. It's like you can put creativity in anything you do, to your dress and to the food you make and, how you walk. Just everything is, if, the artist is really a creative self, tapping into that place in you that has passion and that you want to share with others, but ultimately how you want to live. And I feel I've done that, and I feel good about that, how I've lived my life.
Excellent. Nice. So when do you think your album's coming out?
Spring, summer, by the time things get kind of finally mixed and added up and artwork and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, that's kind of a thing that, I mean, ultimately it would be wonderful if, I did some live performances and I could, sell some CDs at shows and stuff like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to be great to hold a CD and look at the 14 songs and know all the time that it took and all the everything, just, and that's wonderful for me and certainly my girl, just to like laugh and like, oh my God, isn't this great? And you just took so much of yourself and put it into this. This is really good, Tim, good for you. And maybe that's all it is. Again, it's not about how it's going to be received. It's nice if it does. And if I'm certainly not in it for financial gain, because there's so much of the time that's just not a piece of the puzzle. So it's really about achieving something and wanting to conquer demons and fears and get to the other side and feel like I've really created something and made something special. Yeah,
it's a longer process than if you're a visual artist or so. Do you do any visual art?
You're talking about the immediacy of just like painting something or like glass or just doing
it's
something.
like I can be up in my glass studio and I can toil away at a project and have it completed in whatever,
within
depending
a day,
within a day for some
right.
things,
It's not
right?
weeks and weeks of
Or years and years. I mean,
which it can be.
Which some things can be. I mean, like books can be like that. Plays
David
can be
Foster
like that.
Wallace took like 4 years to write Infinite Jest, and other people take a year or two to do an album. Some people, yeah.
Like my Isolation Dreams album was 5 months during the roughest part of the lockdowns from the pandemic. And it's like, if not for that, I don't think I would have done it. I would have still been thinking about it now.
You were forced, again,
I'd be looking at the computer going, I don't know if I really want to sit down at the computer.
So it's good. It was good for you as a...
Yeah. And I even put that in the liner notes. I think, I think
you did. I think you thanked the pandemic.
Well, I was blessed. The time was a blessing for me.
Thank you for that lab in China that let something go so I could create.
Yeah. And, so it's like, when you talk about the financial gain of it, I was fortunate enough to be able to do everything in-house here. I did all the instruments were done by me and stuff like that. So I didn't have a lot of financial investment in it. But when you have this CD, this moment, when you think of all the people that have contributed to it, and it's like taking a lens and focusing it into one very small spot, and then that is the, even if it's just one album that we make in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you touched on, working with other people and stuff as opposed to just all under the guise umbrella of just me as an artist. It's wonderful to connect with others who have similar ideas and passions. So getting, a session player to come in and work with them and see what they're about and, have a connection with them and have them lend their talents and gifts to like what I do is kind of magical.
Yeah.
And feeling and seeing the final product is like, oh my God. And no one really knows all the hours and the driving and the packing up and the, buying new strings for the guitar and the hours getting up 6 a.m. and listening to your MP3s over and over again before you go in the studio next and bring new ideas. Like only I know like what went into that. And it brings up a tear almost. It's big to talk about because it's just so monumental. And it's a huge, huge part of me.
Yeah, that one disc is going to be, your heart and soul.
It's what do they call it? Like your opus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if I were to die tomorrow, at least that's what I'm leaving behind. That's the kind of thing.
Exactly.
And also that's the grand importance that I bring to it, which is ridiculous, as I said before. But to me, it's important. And we all need a purpose. Yeah. And to me, being an artist and being creative is my purpose. And loving Kelly. So those are 3 purposes.
Yeah, it's all about beauty, bringing beauty into the world, right?
Yes.
It's it's not often acknowledged by people how much they, in their day-to-day, either rely on entertainment, like art as entertainment, or art that they would put on their wall, or choosing a different colored floor mat for the living room or something like that. That's all art. Somebody created that.
Yeah. Someone took the time to make it go with the curtains and with the house and how it hung and how much of it, and do you add any other colors, and that's all the process. And
there's probably going to be a time when you're
going to rip it up and do something different.
Yeah. Somebody will have your CD in hand, or they'll be, streaming a song, and there's just going to be that magic moment where the room that they're in, the temperature, the light, the smell of the room is going to go with that song.
Hopefully that they're owner of a record label and they would call me.
No way, man, you don't want that.
You're right.
Don't. So that's the
trap.
That's the trap.
Yeah.
And there's you're not going to find anybody
who's going to give it to you on a silver platter. Who's going to say, "You've arrived. It's time. Just don't worry." Yeah.
There's so many stories now online of these people who are very, very, very successful as independent artists who do everything in their own house, right? They do everything on their iPad or something like that, everything from recording to video.
It is possible. Although, it's...
And then you hear these horror stories about, people like, when we were kids, I mean, you ever have a demo tape that you mailed out to a record company? Right? I did all kinds of those kind of things, right? Never heard back, right? But that was the way you had to do it back then without the internet. And now with the availability of the technology and actually the technology becoming easier, You know,
Friendly,
a guy like me can sit down at a computer and feel confident about doing something, you know, creative with it. You know, that bait they would hold out in front of you. It's like, you know, $5 million for your album. And it's like, well, your album is going to make $5 million in sales before you see a penny of it. So if your album doesn't see $5 million in sales, guess what? You're in debt $5 million. So that carrot in front of the musician is just not there anymore. There's no reason for it to be
imagined. There. It's not even a thing.
But then there's still people doing it, right? So there was
a false idea that, like, you know, you're talking about the carrot dangling in front of you. If I just mail out my cassette and then some nameless, faceless entity at some publishing company or big magnanimous like record company will like offer me, and I'll get that call one day when they'll offer me something, some sort of big financial thing to like, come with us, we'll do this for you, and so much of the time you hear horror stories. Either people have signed over their publishing rights, or it's just this huge disappointment because they're like scammers and they've promised all this thing. So ultimately, I guess what I'm talking about is it's great if you can do it on your own and you can master some of these things between social platforms, promoting yourself, and also the recording aspect. Like I have Reaper, this program of recording that I need to be able to understand how to use. So that's going to be my next endeavor.
Yeah, because we all have access to the internet now, and the exposure and distribution was exactly what those big companies used to offer us.
That's right.
Now we've got DistroKid is like $25 a year, for uploading songs to. I can upload the demo that we did this afternoon. And
no one would hear it, but it would
not
be there.
Necessarily.
Our grandmothers and like a friend from high school would hear it, and
I got a few people that listen to stuff that I put up.
You have more of a playlist supporters than I do,
but you don't. You got to start, right?
You got to start somewhere,
and it's like, you know, someday you get a random message from a random person, and you're gonna go, "Holy shit! I had no idea who this person is, and they just thanked me for my music." Yeah, so. I guess, have we covered all the bases, so to speak?
I think so. Like first base, second base, third base.
Any other thoughts you want to leave for
I've emptied my head entirely. I have no more thoughts.
No more thoughts?
Actually, for the next week, I don't even have to talk or think about anything because it's all...
Yeah, you really unleashed a bit today.
I really did. I needed to. Thank you.
But that's good, right? That's what this is all about. I mean, it's fun for artists to hear other creative people talking about what it means to them.
I like the sound of my own voice too. That's pretty great.
Yeah,
I've
especially with
that.
a great mic like that.
It's all about the miking and, like, you know, the gel I have in my hair and the shirt that I spilled part of my lunch. My girl will she can tell what I ate in the day. She just sees, oh, Tim, I see you had a roast beef sandwich.
Oh,
there's a little mustard, a little parsley. Like, she's able to tell. So that's a talent in itself. I don't know how I can market that in order to assist with, you know, like, rent and food and gas money. So
I'll figure it out.
Maybe next time we can
ask
explore
AI.
That. Yeah, I'm sure AI.
Ask ChatGPT. How do I monetize food stains on my shirt?
Yeah, that's the next.
That could be an OnlyFans thing.
A what?
OnlyFans.
What's that?
Oh,
we're going to talk about that next time.
Yeah, yeah. It's not what it became something that it wasn't supposed to be. Anyhow, thanks for coming by.
That's like me. I became something I wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. But anyway, it's been great.
Thank you for coming by. This has been really cool. And so where can people find out more of your stuff, more of your writing?
Well, you can look on the World Wide Web, which is really something you should investigate. I hear the internet is going to be around for a while. So timbermastersonmedia.com. So Timber and Masterson and Media, those three words. That's my site where everything is under the umbrella of creation is there, writing, music, everything. And it's kind of like my home space where I just load everything there. And
that's cool.
That's kind of rewarding.
And if somebody's listening to this through the Creative Train playlist on YouTube, you can go over to my Resound page, which is also, the playlist is on there, and look up Live at Resound Studio, and you'll have some videos of Tim recording here that we did last year and the year before, whatever. So there's a few. There's a few, and
Love to do that
they're still
again.
getting hits. especially
It's just me repeating. I think there's 407 hits. It's all me, just every couple of days, just clicking on it a few times.
Going out and buying burner phones and
that's
on
right.
the playlist. No, but
that's a good idea.
What's the one when you're at the piano in black and white?
12 months.
Okay, that one. That's still getting. I still get hits on that and likes. I still get, so and so gave a thumbs up or whatever.
That's
so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
All right, thanks for coming by.
Thanks
I'm going to get to work on the final touches on the edit of this and hopefully have it up by this evening.
Wow,
and
that'll give me something to do tonight. Obsessively listen to the thing and keep rewinding and saying how I could have done it better and beat up on myself.
Yeah. Oh, I mispronounced that word.
Why did I do that? Oh, no. I don't.
Actually, I meant this. So we'll be back for.
we'll be back to do a.
We'll be back with the version 2.
Edited version.
I'm going to get a script, I'm sure.
Yeah,
you're going to get an email
I'll send
tonight.
It to you. That's right.
Can you edit this word out and put that one in instead?
Yeah.
No, I cannot, Tim.
That'd be a big job.
All right, thanks for listening, folks, and we'll be in touch. You guys get in touch with us if you want to have anyone on the show as a guest, and we'll make it happen. Thank you for listening.
We sure do. Mark's good at making stuff happen.
And there you have it. The wit, the wisdom, and the whimsy from the whirling world of Timber Masterson. I consider it such a blessing to have been able to work so closely with so many various types of artists and creators in my career, and especially through this podcast as well. There's lots more really interesting guests that I'm going to have come up here, as well as some other more personal topics that I'll deal with. But I really want to thank Timber for coming by today and talking about those things, about self-doubt, those creative demons that a lot of us have, and how he's able to overcome them and keep creating every single day. Now go get to work.